11 points, maybe 20 points between first all the way down till 12th. And look who was in the first place. It was Alan, Shamoki, and Force at the end of first day. And he managed to just maintain that all the way through, placing first into the final game. And they are now our champions. So huge congratulations to these guys.
As we take a look at the top 10 for the day, or for the 2 days at Asia, it's important to note, right, the top 3 in every single region's finals at the end of the 2 days will auto qualify for the next season's finals. So you can take a look there in second place, Signal, Fousey, Josia. They will auto qualify and they will be playing together, assuming they stick with each other, right? As soon as they split up in the next final. Same thing could be said for Ragus, Moffin, and Curran. And Moffin, right, he won FNTS 2 seasons ago. This season only able to get third, but look, they have another shot to play in next season's finals, and I'm sure he'll be looking to reclaim that axe.
Yeah, hey, I'm not going to complain about a third by any means, but if we move over to OCE, our other region that's already wrapped up as well, Muzz, Looter, and Speedy, the TNA trio, are now 2 times champions. That is back-to-back champions. They won last season in season 5. They've come back in season 6, and yes, 2-time champions. So what an accomplishment from these guys. They basically did it in exactly the same format as well. They were roughly 40 points behind at the end of day 1 and managed to have a huge comeback. And when you see the leaderboards, you'll see how far ahead they ended up being. Incredible performance from the TNA trio.
Yeah, big day for them to be back-to-back in such a phenomenal fashion. You can see that 79 eliminations, more than anybody else in the region. You know, they came out hot like the UK weather today. And, you know, no surprise that they were able to walk away with that FNCS championship. Bathan, Zedox, and CO in second. They finished day 1 in first place, but they weren't able to hold on to that top spot. But it's all right because, you know, second place isn't too shabby, and they will be able to play with each other next season, as once again, that top 3 does auto qualify for the next finals. Jinx, Alec, and Worthy in 7th, they definitely would have wanted to have a better performance, right? These are some of the premier names out of Oceania. But look, once again, you know, top 10 isn't too bad. They're going to be able to hit the drawing board, come back next season even stronger for the next time round.
That's right. And speaking of a top 10, we got to take a look at EU's current standings, right? Which trios ended in top 10 coming into day number 2. Refsguard, Andretta, Mr. Savage. But right behind them, Hen, Janice, Chapix, your trios champion from last season. These 2 trios trading places all day yesterday, boys. And now they're looking to make this an all-out brawl.
Yeah, only 1 point between them and 13 points between first down to 5th. This is an absolute battle right now for the championship. This is set up so good coming into the games you're going to watch today, because this is going to be so incredibly tense. We already know there are so many possibilities for team going all the way through. And I think, you know what, me and Levin, we kind of touched on this yesterday a little bit. I think we doubted Hen, Janice, and Chapix a little bit. You know, we said, oh, these guys are contested right now off their drop spot. I think a lot of people, including us, weren't even put them in their top 5, despite the fact they've been performing as a top team all the way through. But look, these guys are proving why they are potentially the best team in Europe, but maybe not even that, the world.
Yeah, look, you know, these guys silenced all the doubters they had, most definitely. You know, people expect teams that are contested to not do as well. And they finished the first day in second place. And, you know, they're poised to finish in first place as long as they have a good day, right? Just 1 point behind first. It's going to be a race to see who can finish that at the end of the day. But many other of these teams are still in great positions, right? The likes of Flickenlass and Thomas, who are heavy favorites, they still have a shot today. It's going to be about being able to get those points on the boards. Even if we look at the second page, right? The teams who are 11th to 20th, a lot of talent here who has the ability to potentially make a comeback, right? You take a look at the likes of Kinsel, iDrop, and Wakey. You know, Joe Stompy and Shadow, who literally won a game yesterday but weren't able to do anything else out of that. Can they potentially sort of have a bit more consistency, right? You know, Reese, so many of the most talented names in Fortnite on this page.
Yeah, some of the best names. You know, like I said, we saw Vidil, Nor, Riley, and Reason, who are currently in 16th, pop off winning the big victory royale in game 1 yesterday. If they come out the steam that they had today in game 1 and continue that on, they may rise completely up. And it's definitely not something we've seen in any other region over and over again. So we've seen these changes going around in the leaderboard. Some teams down here managing to make themselves all the way up to the top 3, and we could definitely be seeing that here today.
Let's take a look at the highlights, though. Let's take you back to the beginning of yesterday when Reason, Vidil, and O'Reilly won that first game. They had a crazy play. Look, forget that guy in Lazy Lake. These were the real Kaisers to start the day because, you know, they started with the way you'd typically expect them to sort of finish, right, with a huge win.
Yeah, and you notice they drop straight down into the water, managed to catch themselves so clutch. That's probably one of the moments of the tournament that will be remembered the most. But game number 2 was won by Refsguard, Andrea, and Savage, who managed to win using the medkit heal-off. Remember, they're currently our first place leaders, but this game was really where they solidified themselves using the corn as well. Not something we really see very typically.
Yeah, you can see game 3, Joe, Stompy, and Shadow were able to win a game. We talked about it on the leaderboards. Outside of this game, they weren't able to do much, right? So they had their win from high ground, typical of them in terms of their playstyle. But it's going to be about really being able to have more games like this over the course of these 6 games.
Yeah, and you know, this is the turning point in the tournament for us. Number 4, where they showed that even contested, these guys can pick up big victory royales, and this is where they climbed really high up the leaderboards from their first victory royale. But extremely impressive stuff for them, and this wasn't even their first and only victory royale of the game.
Yeah, you take a look now, sort of, you know, the last moments of the tournament, really, right? The last couple of games where things really do start to get intense. You know, we had, you know, great finish, and if anything, the likes of Queasy, Trulex, and Juriki winning a game. Here you can see Trulex dropping down, hitting key shots to win them the game in the end. A phenomenal performance. But we started, or I should say we finished with the team who won it all last season, right? The FNCS champions picked up that final game. And what a zone to do it, right, Reese?
Exactly the same as Zone 1 almost, and they won 2 games as well. So no surprise, these guys learned from that game 1, and here we go, winning game number 6.
So clean. And that package was absolutely insane, by the way, the hype. I just felt it once again, just coursing through my veins. Okay, we got to set the stage a little bit coming into day number 2, okay? I'm kind of curious to pick your brain a little bit, Reese. I wanted to see, you know, some of these trios are having a difficult time just landing and getting these contested POIs and making it out alive. So I'm curious to see, like, do you think trios might be changing up their drop spots coming into day number 2?
Yeah, I think if you look at the leaderboard, you have to think, right, if we're dropping, say, for example, the 2 teams currently in Retail Row, we've got Wolfie's team going against Kiko's team, both not performing too well in the leaderboards right now. Both, I think, 20th all the way down till 33rd, I think, somewhere in that range. So they're basically going to have to think, what are we going to change up in their strategy? And Wolfie's team, during the qualifier and also during the heats, have ended up dropping in Dirty Docks and also Steamy Stacks. So you've got to think, if it's not working out for them so far in retail, maybe they go Dirty and contest Thomas Flick and a Nas, or maybe even up to Steamy and contest our current place leaders, which has potentially been alluded to on Twitter so far already by Wolfie. So could see some changes in drop spots today.
Yeah, I think that's always bound to happen on that second day, right? Teams sort of maybe get a bit nervous about how they performed on the first day, so they look to switch things up. Definitely a possibility.
All right, Levin, talk to me about some sleeper teams, because I feel like you've got one that didn't get much broadcast time yesterday, but they're still performing extremely well.
Well, yeah, Zeke, there were 3 teams in the top 10 that stood out to me for contrasting reasons, right? You know, Kiriachi, Stormy, right, and Toos over at Slurpee. Really interesting team, one of the best teams mechanically in all of Europe, and they were incredibly consistent. They played incredibly well, but the one thing that stood out to me, 2.83 average eliminations, lowest of anybody in the top 10. Weird for a team who you maybe expect to be a bit more aggressive outside of Slurpee, right? Taking a look over at Misty Meadows, though, Pizza, Ardit for Strokey, a record-breaking team from the qualifying weeks. Complete opposites, right? 5 average eliminations, the second highest of anybody in all of the lobby, right? These guys were incredibly aggressive, getting in a lot of their points via eliminations, and all the way at the top of the map, right? This one is the... Now, they had no games in the top 10. That's like weird. How do you get top 10 without any games in the top 10? Crazy stuff. If they can be a bit more consistent, imagine where they could finish, right? Way higher than top 10 you'd expect. So be interesting to see how these guys do out of Stealthy Stronghold.
Absolutely. Now, boys, we got to talk about this, all right? Flick, Anas, Thomas HG, a trio we think can go all the way, but right now they're coming into day number 2 in 8th. I mean, what do they need to do? What do we need to change up to climb these leaderboards?
Well, I think the big thing... Oh, no, you
No, go
take
ahead. No,
take away.
take away. Be my
We're
guest.
so excited.
All I was going to really say about these guys is the big thing is that, you know, they need to be a bit more aggressive in terms of surge positioning, right? We saw in zones like this where they land dirty docks, you know, they weren't really getting too aggressive. They usually take kills like this to look for surge tags. But typically of the better teams, you'd maybe see them get a bit deeper, maybe try and get positions a bit deeper in the zone so they have a larger range of teams to get for storm surge tags. Nothing too, you know, out of the norm, nothing too spectacular, but just a small tweak that they could make.
Now, I kind of want to shift topics really quickly because I want to remind everybody of our predictions coming into day number 2 of the finals. Levin, Shayo, you both agree that Anas, Flick, and Thomas H. And this is why I brought up my point, because you do think they could go all the way.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the boys. I think they will be hungry to finally get that FNCS championship win, and they are still poised to really, you know, put a good performance into the sitting in 8th at the moment. There is still hope for them.
Yep, and you know, I've gone with Tayson, Nate, and 4ZR. You know, these guys have fixed all their mistakes, it seems, and into yesterday, when I spoke to Tayson, he said, as soon as we get Storm Surge, we are fine, and that's exactly what they did on day 1. They did have a little bit lower average eliminations than they normally would, so if today we see them with large pop-offs, this is going to be them climbing up the leaderboards, potentially looking for that championship again.
Yeah, and Sancho looks like a genius because his pick is in first right now with Refsguard, Savage, and Andretta, so if they can just stay there, Sancho's going to take it all to there.
Absolutely. Well, we're not wasting any more time. It's time to kick off the competition. We're going over to Sancho West and Shy Wager to start our day.
This is the finale of the finals, the last day of a multi-week event. Whether you're in Party Royale, on the couch, or watching along with your friends, welcome to the European FNCS. Sancho, a slew of games to play today, $1.3 million on the line for EU as well. This is going to be insane.
And don't you go anywhere because the action is already kicking off with our #1 place team being contested at Steamy Stacks. We all saw this going down on social media. Will it be Wolfie's actually here? No, it's actually Nexus Trio. This is what we're talking about. The adjustments are already happening in day 2 because $1 million+ are on the line and the championship is at stake. And here is our defending champions, Hen, Janice, and Chapix already trading between Highcrest. It is a deja vu moment, the sequel to the fireworks that we saw in day 1. Shayo, it's already picking up, baby. It is the FNCS EU.
Yeah, and it's absolute deja vu. Highcrest already going down inside the first game. We saw 12 games played yesterday. In all, or 6 games played yesterday. There's 12 games to play. In all 6, these guys fought over and over again. Highcrest either going down first or Hen. This time it will be Highcrest. Knight and Vortex will have to try to pick up the slack here, but with a top-tier trio who's won this POI over and over, just breathing down your neck, it seems absolutely impossible.
Here we go. These are very important moments. Looks like Andretta actually gets knocked, so we'll keep an eye on the feed on that here. That is our #1 team, already a knock against them. Let's go ahead and focus back in here. Chapix, Hen, on the like basically so close getting a repeat championship.
We'll flip back and forth between those POIs. Now the fight's actually breaking down at Steamy Stacks. Savage, Refsguard seem to have wiped Screwy and Nexus off the face of the Fortnite island, just with a little bit of a consequence of Andretta getting knocked. It feels like Sancho just got a free buff points off spawn. There wasn't really any much contention whatsoever. I think Savage might actually still be looking for the rest of the squad for the moment. They might be slightly split, looking at how things are going so far, but with this loadout, there should be no problems at all for Savage to wrap things up.
This is what they were worried about going into day 2. They thought they will be contested. Usually Steamy Stacks in the EU region is historically heavily contested. Last season, Andretta Rescard was Scrab, dealt with 2-3 trios at times contested in there. So there's no stranger to that. They expected it. They bot review it and they were ready. And now Janice, Hit, and Chapix were ready for Highcrest. Once again, Vortex is going to be left alone right now. And they're going to actually go ahead and catch him out in the bush. So far,
the Bush Ranger play.
The bush tray, when you all got it in the back pocket, that's all you can do. And right now, you're looking at a 6-1 advantage right now going Hen's way. And anytime any team walks out of Craigie, they do really well. And when Hen's team walks out of Craigie, they get double-digit victory royales. That is the potential of the pop-off that they have here. But Shayo, pop-off potential for Thomas A. Flick and Anas. Day 2 is usually their day.
Yeah, usually on day 2, this team you're watching on screen really ends up popping off. They're landing at Dirty Docks. And if this is your first time watching the FNCS, the early game is just about controlling where you land. You guys probably have your spots too of where you want to go. It could be big like Dirty, it could be small like this junction sort of, POI where Red Rush, Exteriors are dropping at. They have a huge split where they travel around the map. There's many different things to do. The basic rule for everyone, though, is just to survive. And if you're fighting anyone, you got to win that fight. So we already saw it happen. The big names coming off of spawn unscathed, basically. And everyone else is, really amping up to have a very good first game. There's still 30 trios alive right now. The only 2 that have dropped we watched, that was Screwy's trio and then High Chris's at Craggy Cliffs. Everyone else is just going to be rotating now, looking for lots of damage around the map.
And that was our 3rd place team, Mysterios, with Red Rush and Mappy, with a kind of an unexpected performance. Not anybody really had them. Red Rush, the FNCS squad champion, alongside with Mysterios and Mappy, they had a really solid day. They kind of played conservatively. They were able to get a lot of placement points alongside with some valuable elims. But the thing that they have to work on is, can they continue that pace? They're pretty much playing out of body, like we mentioned yesterday, and that's pretty difficult to do in a high-stakes lobby like this one.
Absolutely. And for this team on screen, I mean, you can see the stat, the importance for these guys on the second day of competition. It's more monumental than any other team we're going to be watching today. For like Anas and Thomas HD, their day 1s usually are kind of scraping by. They'll be in the top 10. It won't be something crazy we're watching, but on day 2, they really start popping off. Sometimes you see multiple victory royales. We see lots of high placement games. The issue is, I'm not sure looking at this lobby if it's going to be as easy as before. Just look at the map, how spread out it is for every single team, where the zone is going to be looking at as well. The level of competition is so high, and for these guys on the top right to be able to perform, I mean, they're gonna have to pull out miracles from inside of them. Like, it is so difficult, especially with so many good players in the lobby, to be consistent, be at the top. They can't miss out on one game, especially the first game, the one we're watching right now. They're gonna have to do a very, very good job while they're playing, or their entire momentum will be just thrown away for the day.
We already saw a taste of Zone 1. It's going to be a northern zone, so you have Hen Trio looking really solid. We already talked about Levin, talked about at the analyst desk. Nebs' trio has been doing really solid, considering they had not been finishing in the top 10. If you go back and VOD review Nebs' trio, Game 3, they ran over some of the biggest names in the region, getting 5+ eliminations, I think 8. And that is something that I have to keep my eye on the rest of the way, because they were taking out the likes of Clement. They were taking out the likes of Adil's trio. So, hey, you got to watch out for Nebs, who kind of surprised everyone during the qualifier stage, being able to qualify out of Stealthy Stronghold. They're looking really good, already primed to have a fantastic day 2, just like in Dreda, Revsguard, and Savage. And I think you said it really good, Shio. Basically, sometimes it's good to get contested, because now they could just go ahead and post up. They don't have to really worry about Storm Surge. And even though they didn't really have problems within day 1, this makes things alleviated just a little bit there.
Watching Wakey Eye dropping can also rotate some people who are dropping on the way outsides of the map.
Oh my!
Have to resort to just going inside cars. Sometimes, though, depending on how and where you're rotating, you can just get battered up while you drive around the map. The big thing about day 2 is just to make sure you're playing that first game very close to the chest. Sometimes we're watching EU yesterday. While the game started to go on a little bit, people started to experiment, play a little bit more loose. We had not that many people surviving, lots of people fighting in zone. This time, though, at least for this game, everyone's taking it very seriously. You're going to start seeing a lot of bases pop up around the map. iDrop's already doing it. Here's Pizza, Ardent, and Fast Roki. This trio is the most troublesome on this entire day and on the Fortnite map. Their actual strategy is to play around other people, make sure when they're actually lacking and not watching, they take over their position. They love the third-party fights. You can see it right now. They're bothering another trio, just trying to rotate. They have to make an entire wall just to get by this river. This is crazy. The Fast Roki, Ardent, Pizza, especially in the endgame, man, they love taking over height and just interrupting people. The crazy thing is, though, when there's no one to actually counter, they don't actually end up doing too much. They end up not having a game plan set in stone. So I hope they find a trio to kind of act off of, or they might be in trouble.
Now we're taking a look at Bloomy's trio, putting pressure down on Tayson's trio. Builds are on fire because the car exploded. Bloomy's trio is kind of a trio that's coming from that west coast of Fort Crumpet. If you didn't watch yesterday, they've been doing solid work, considering they've been avoiding a lot of the kind of the scary trios coming out of that side of the map. And they did really well. They've been around the top 10. A lot of people expected them just to be Storm Surge tags for that side of the map. but they were able to get away, make some smart rotations, rotate early, like reset how important it can be. Now, when I was watching Taste and Nate and 4ZR, they kind of play a little bit conservative. Even though they made it to in-game, they weren't really looking for eliminations. They were just looking for placement. If they could match what we all know what they can with that elim firepower that they do have behind their trio, they could essentially move up the leaderboard a little bit faster rather than just staying kind of in the middle of the top pack.
Yeah, Red Rush on your screen now, 4-0 that we were watching before. A lot of these invisible type trios have just survived so far on the first day. For day 2, if they want to end up coming first, yeah, you got to hit these shots like Mappy is right now as well, but you have to start playing for the win. Take some risks and grab this game for your own trio.
That's what I was about to ask you, Shayo. Is it just about being conservative and trying to sit all the placements, or is it about going for the win? And you answered it right there. You got to go for the win because no one's going to give you the crown. You're going to have to take it from our defending FNCS champions and Hens trio.
And sometimes, depending on the zone, you never know exactly. The game can give you that win. Yesterday, we saw the craziest things towards the south side. When I'm looking at the middle of the map, though, all these consistent type trios who end up playing low ground, they end up winning out the games a little bit more. It's very difficult for Height to do much. You get bounce back zones. They don't have that much room to end up getting eliminations. And eliminations are also a big wave and name of the game. Take these two trios, for example, as well. Trulex Squeezy on the bottom side, DKS Gray and Shakaz on top. Trulex, the guy on your screen right now, glorious and no pun intended at just playing these end games and having the position on Height. These guys controlled the game yesterday so much from the 5th zone onwards, but then basically choked after that. They could not hold on to that title spot, the big all the way up top high ground, and other teams rolled over them. Maybe they can clap back today. You have to make changes. That's what Wolfies is going for on your screen right now. Actually bullying Exteriors and Mappy, but maybe just looking for damage. They'll move on. You don't want to throw your game over just one mid-game fight. You want to survive for the whole entire time.
You're looking at what's happening, the adjustments already. Wolfies was 15-15 that yellow house. Games 1-2. They kind of split retail row against Kiko's trio. Now they're rotating early. We're seeing the retail row teams rotate early. Scram's trio, the other retail row, is rotating towards Lazy Lake. This time, Wolfies is kind of pushing that Cammy split, and that Cammy split right now is being held down by Red Rush's trio.
We talked about early game as well in terms of how players want to, go about their game. It's about defending your drop spot. Now towards mid game, you'll see this cool little graphic above the mini map on the right side. It says damage threshold 121 above for Toos. This entire mechanic is called Storm Surge. So basically, when you're rolling in this game, there's so many players that end up staying alive. You want to give these guys a challenge and make sure the entire server is staying healthy as well. So 90 players will have to drop down to 70 for this entire player threshold, and that's decided by how much damage they do. So you basically have to deal damage or you get dealt damage by this purple lightning that comes down. You'll see it in a second. Toos is ahead of it right now. Everyone after their drop spots is playing for this Storm Surge threshold. They'll look for damage. For Toos, it was long range beams. Over here, it's boss fight between 5 different teams. Kiko, Black Slide on his squad. Rumenko's following closely behind them. This is a horror movie. He's trying to move forward. So many beams from all spots with an arrow in his elbow. This has to hurt. He's going down, and that's one trio taken out.
Sometimes you take arrows to the shin, but there's nothing like an arrow to the elbow. That's going to knock you down. That's going to take you out. But now Prototype one lost MXR with back very last place right now. They have been very inconsistent. They were going down to stealthy stronghold. In fact, game 5, they were kind of splitting some randomness. But now maybe they could come up and kind of shake up that bottom of the board. Because right now, they're affecting this rotation right here just by being here.
Hey, you're talking about randomness. What is this? This is, I'm counting like 7 different trios at the same time fighting in Storm. There's Fat Brokey, the Interrupters, Hydra fighting Stompy right. Down below, Dementals is not stopping. Jamside is going down in the build.
Oh, man.
This is a crazy 6-way fight. ST's here too, making it off spawn for, I think, the first time I'm watching, and they're looking real good with this loadout.
This is just a repeat of day 1. All the Southern teams from Misty Meadows, Lazy Lake, Caddy Corner, all being late on the rotations and all colliding as you're seeing Jamside getting eliminated by Podosai. This is what's happening the entire tournament. It looks like it's going to be a repeat in day 2. If any of these trios want to get better for the day in placement, they just have to avoid this kind of white line engagement that's happening right here, Shayo. This traffic jam hasn't stopped, and this is game 7 out of the 12.
It's going to get crazy as the day goes on, too. These are teams playing conservative. Bad Sniper inside Storm. eating some damage, looking for an angle. Not going to really find it, but has some meat to eat, so it's all good on his end. Once again, in terms of reading what's going on screen, it might be confusing. You know, there's health bars to watch. Once that threshold thing pops up on the right side as well, that's like an extra health bar to kind of show you guys how the trio's doing. If they're about 300, 400 damage above, it's really good. Anything below that, sometimes they could be in trouble. There's even more trios, though, still inside the storm. Hellfire's so far back. Okay, never mind. It's the reverse side. They're actually in. Everyone's looking good. Oh, look at this. So many people, Sancho, playing side by side, close together. And like, this is going to be rough rotates all the way across.
A very nightmare type of rotation if the zone keeps pulling north, but also a nightmare start for Red Bull. Mysterios and Matthew down already. Our third place team is out. That gives room for 4th arcade to make Lugo and TT, Trulix, and Jerky right now. Like, you nailed it, man. They've been holding on to height. They will be at height. Like, about 4 out of the 6 games, they were on height, and they got it taken away from them. And only one of them, they were able to hold on and get a victory out. So expect this team to continuously to fight for height, to expend all their mats to hold on to height, do whatever that they can, because they're all in for that strategy. And when you go all in, you saw it already. They get down into shambles. But I'm expecting them to at least get 1 or 2 victory royales here today.
This is such a weird game, though. Yesterday, we were watching organized driving, basically. Everyone in their own lanes, way far away. They were, following traffic laws. This time, I'm watching bumper cars. I'm looking at trios just bouncing off of each other, shooting over and over again. No one is leaving space for anyone to walk by. Even Nate, so far away from his trio, is looking to affect this one. Trulex getting hard beamed. This is troublesome.
This is just what it means, that how much eliminations are. 2 points apiece, Shio. Expect people to go for more elims because they have to make up some ground to catch up to the top of the leaderboard.
Everyone's also just bunched up at the south side right now. There's a river all the way in between. Some elevation will be tricky to actually navigate. There is one big hill, and there are some kings on it. A god trio, maybe, who's watching. Kind of an opposite lifeguard on this river. They're actually looking to take out people who might be drowning, and everyone's gonna have to start to swim in just a second. Jerky's already down, so Trulix and Queasy are already looking bad, and look at who they have to go by. Snazy, Andalex, Tus Kiriachi, Shakel's up top. This is like playing a game on the hardest veteran difficulty, and you have no ammunition. Your movement speed is slower as well. I don't know how they're gonna get out of this one.
This is going to be a ruthless rotation.
All eyes is being deep. All the hard mats already expended here. They have the box fight. They have the works here. The entire south side. Yes, so many trios are on the south side here. The north side is still a little bit going to be troublesome, but not so much. And there's already a team right there in the orange in the middle of that map. They're going to have strong positioning. That is the high point of this section. But the river is available for rotation. On the top right of the screen, that is Xp's trio. Who had it run. Shifting down the gap. Not doing what they normally do. Let's see how they
No one's holding anything back. They need consistency. The reason they're inside the top 10 right now is a really good placement. The last eliminations, Janice and Traffic doing their classic that we saw yesterday. Matthew's rotation. Every time they end up doing this, the zone plays for them. I'm not sure if this is like a type of rain dance, but they get every zone when they're in this position. They look good while doing it, and they end up clutching games.
We already saw who's at high holding it. Trio who's made those game plan movements that they were talking about, those adjustments. They said on social media, we have a plan. We saw yesterday they were kind of just pushing everything, getting in some scrums in mid-game, rotating late, but now they're early, and now they have prime position to get beams. So now they're changing up their box fighting mentality for Storm Surge, and they're just going to do it from a distance. Wow, I'm impressed.
And they came through yesterday with a crazy win in the first game as well. 12 total eliminations. Looked really good. Are these guys hot starters, though? Because after that, it was just mistake after mistake. They fell down the board, and they're in 16th place now. They used to be first on the day, and they ended at 16th.
If they could just chill out a bit, just don't use the NOS, don't use the the turbo, just kind of just ease off the gas just a little bit, coast, put that bad battle in close, and maybe they could just get on through. Because when they get to in game, they're dangerous. We have yet to see them perform in this tournament at in game.
Jason 4ZR, Nate, similar type of circumstance. They just need to end up grabbing this game for themselves. I watched a lot of people rotating beside them. I'm still feeling a little bit of a survival vibe from this trio. They're not looking to be in a big spot to win the game currently, but at the same time, they have a max zone to rotate. So let's hold off on that for a second. Tayson getting tagged from the right side. There's even other trios rotating later than this. They have to move through a maze. They don't have a map. They're not sure what's going to be in front of them right here. It's going to be Wakey and Floki and Decipto setting a trap. Andalex uses the river and goes by fast. MXR one last Podicide. They're moving too. And right above them is Bad Sniper, but then Dreda as a solo player. Refsguard and Savage down. How did this happen? This is your first place team right now, cumulatively over the 7 games. I know it just says 7 points right there, but that's just for day 2. The first place team has 1 person left. If Andretta goes down, their team stops getting placement. They might drop out of first. All eyes are on Andretta for this end game, and there's so many people looking to take him out to try to grab the lead.
Andretta has to go back at the time machine. He finished 24th in the World Cup solos, so he could kind of dip into the past, pull that rabbit out of the hat. Maybe there's some magic here because his job is just all about getting placement as many points as possible before he gets lobbied.
Oh no, this is trouble. This is the 3rd time I'm watching this happen.
It happens.
This happens, CS.
It happens.
Throwing these things close range, they're so lethal though. Look at Boobok's health just go down more and more. Now he's at 30, used to be at 100. He's going down to 20 as well. It's so hard to run away from those stingfish, but once again, you use them in close range, they end up doing damage to you as well. This entire box too, this complex of builds has so many top trios and making sure your medkit's up. These guys are going all in on their HP. They're looking to just take this endgame by storm.
Oh yeah, and the storm has already moved away from all of our competition. The first moving has been revealed and is going back towards Dirty Docks. This is going to be a very dirty, a very dangerous rotation. And Thomas AC and Austin Flick, we said that day 2 is their day. Are they going to be able to seize it and have that pop-off game, Shio?
This is not only the most important day, but this has to be the most important game. The thing we've seen on EU, especially early, is people like to contest height. They like to interrupt Thomas, Flick, and Anas. But look how far this split goes. Thomas is back in an old zone a minute away. Anas and Flick are already all the way on the front side, building a new base. So these guys have real estate on all corners of the map. Janice, Hen, and Chapix, they're going down to on the backside of Storm. Man. This is absolutely ruthless. People have to make it up a mountain, go down a mountain. It's tough. The hill's in the way, and Chapix is the last person alive on this squad to make the rotate.
Chapix is usually the tarper. He could navigate these builds. He could do those layer switches. He could just hold on as much as possible, but he cannot just get any attention looking his way. Down at the ultimate low with only 25 HP. This is the defending champion here who had the momentum leaving from day 1, walking away with the victory royale. He's going to do all that he can. Now they're in the 2nd threshold of placement. But let's take an eye on high. Thomas AC, Anas, and Flick here, putting some pressure down below. They have the ammo. Look at the AR. They have all the options they can to put the pressure down on low ground.
Every player playing scared, but fear gets relieved as the zone actually bounces back. Everyone on middle and low ground, even the people getting struck by this purple lightning from Storm Surge, are safe and can breathe for the moment. Hype will have to work overtime to try to break these builds and go for shots. Look how tough it is. Brick builds everywhere. Metal. Wow. Vadeo's still around and they're surviving on low. They get to have a little bit of a break. Yeah, even in Dreda's alive. The first place team has 1 player. He takes out a ton in the ground. Meanwhile, Thomas, Flick, and Anas are looking for anything right now. They only have 2 elimination spots, so I've never seen them this, unaffected on the lobby. This is troublesome for them. They're not going to
Yeah, but this is where they start cooking out there as they both get iResin in Dreda right there. This is where they start getting eliminations when the lobby starts getting really tight and congested right now. The moat is going to be so low. They're going to have to get closer. Win condition. Anas and Flick are going to go down here, but look, Noah Riley and the deal and they're going to clean up the Slayer here, and they get Esty, and they get Bad Sniper. Noah Riley and the Dion Reason are here in the end game, and they have the potential to pop up even more, baby!
Low ground scrappy, high ground free. There's so many different types of schemes we're seeing so far in this game. 1 trio in the middle. Flick falls down, big fall damage. Noah Riley in his box. He's in a pit of Vipers, and there's no chance he's going to survive. It's too venomous. Thomas HD and Anas have to do this as a duo. They've done it before, but at the same time, there's so many different players of high calibers down below.
With the zone going towards their backyard, this is going to be the game that could be the signature game that I was talking about in day 1. They already almost had it, but Hen took that away from them. They're not going to let it go away here. Marvin with a phenomenal performance, the best performance they had today.
Now this is where zone starts to get so hard for the low ground trios. It's so tricky. Everything's kind of just getting claustrophobic. The walls are closing in. The zone's pushing people next to a big mountain. One last gets taken out. There's no harpoon here. Yes, Anas only has 7 builds, but it might be enough to last just 50 seconds. They have to connect to this build. They're beaming down. It's lasers from the sky, and not even a planet could survive this pressure. Right now, Marvin, he's working around the build. Somehow everyone's escaped. Thomas is going for the beams when Anas finds the first. They're still staying up. It's a patient game. Reason last alive 2v1, and he could still do it. He has all the mats from the eliminated bodies below. We're going over a bridge. It's going to be a stalemate for about 30 seconds. If Anas and Thomas don't drop down, yeah, they're not going to. They're going to stay up, and Reason has some time to breathe.
What does Reason have in his inventory if he has enough builds just to hold out here? Reason, they had the day 1 victory royale, game 1 popped off huge. If Reason could clutch it, no! Anas says not so fast. Big elbow jump, but Reason claps back. Reason still can't he get the siphon? He does! If he can find Thomas HT, Reason could have the clutch. Oh my goodness! What? What? Are you kidding me? Reason gets the victory royale! How, bro? How? Chio, are you kidding me? Are you kidding
Thomas
me?
HD, 1 second off of the med kit all the way on high ground is what I basically see and how it looks like. Reason gets the siphon at the last millisecond of time as well, wins out the game. This man, not even a troll under a bridge, a goat under a bridge, clutches the unclutchable.
Man, let's just go to the desk. Go to the desk.
What the heck am I watching? This is just the first game. Wow, dude. Okay, listen. Reason got put in one of the most difficult situations you could be put in as a trio. You have 1 member left alive in those final few zones, and that member's thinking, okay, what do I have to do? Like, what? At this point, is it placement? Is it elims? He's like, you know what? Let me just channel my Sprite energy and just roll up in there and get the victory royale, Reese. That's what I like to see.
We cannot have tier 1 teams messing up medkit timings in the end game. We saw Thomas hit the zone, and then as he started to pop the medkit, you saw him start to move a little bit afterwards. He'd already messed up to start with. This is like a clinical play that we have to have locked down. We've seen a lot of this actually on NA East, and then messing up the timings of it. We're actually really yet to see that, and that definitely was a bit of a choke, which allowed Reason just absolutely to pop off. And you notice he was live as a solo for a long time as well. Huge props to Reason for clutching that, but they did win game 1 yesterday. Will they manage to keep the steam going?
This is the story of last season's, champions, because you look at the last 2 teams there. This is the 3rd place team from last season versus the 2nd place team from last season. And if you actually remember back to last season, Reason had some phenomenal clutches back then as well. And he's back this season with just the clutch genes in his veins. How was he won a 1v2 against one of the best teams in the world? Like, just frame it like that, and you start to really understand how crazy what he just did is. And, we could be coming back in about 5 games and looking at that as being a defining moment in what turned their tournament around. That victory royale pushes them up the standings.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, man. Even just being able to say, like, even if you just ended in 2nd place, it's like, wow, you clutched up so hard to at least hit 2nd. Nope. Let me just 1v2 this other trio. No problem. That's how we start the competition here on day number 2 of the finals. Now let's talk about drop spots. Reese, at the very beginning of the show, I asked you if anything would be changed up. Did anything get changed up?
Minorly. Look, minor things changed up, but some things don't change there, Zeke, because you know what? If you ever watched Kiriachi's gameplay before, this team's been dropping here for a long time, but what's very important and very critical is the absolute sharpshooter eye that Kiriachi has. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. The storm down instantly.
That is insane. Look, we know what he can do with those kind of rifles in his hands. Similar things can be said in terms of Pizza Ardit for Strokey. These guys, day 1, we talked about how aggressive they were in terms of eliminations, how successful they were out of Misty. And to start off with, they were obviously known to be contested at Misty, but they still remain fine. And it looks like they have the potential to maybe replicate what's happened yesterday, since it doesn't seem like they'll have too many problems there. Similar things could be said for Flickiness and Thomas, however, we just saw there at the end. It's all going to well having your drop spot uncontested. You can't win the crucial 2v1. What does it all mean? Regardless, though, you take a look at the standings and things don't look different yet, considering that Hens trio and Revscar's trio did sort of go down before those sort of closing moments. But Even with that being said, he's looking at some Thomas up there in third place now. Force and Nate sitting in fourth, Queasy, Trulex, and Juriki sitting in fifth. You know what's funny, Reese, when I look at this? This is literally almost my top 5 prediction list, except for Hen, Janice, and Chapix. Like, all the teams we predicted to do well are performing right now.
Absolutely, and this has just gone even closer. Apart from, let's be real, Hen, Janice, Chapix pulling away a little bit with their eliminations off spawn that they got. That's obviously a good few points. And no, Chapix clutched all the way up till 9th by himself there. So 2 moving zones he managed to make it through, which was really, really big for the team. That's why they've started to kind of take that lead a little bit. Again, Andrea managed to do a similar thing, clutching them all the way to 12th. So great performance from these guys. But again, Kiriachi's team, some of these other teams down that we kind of just mentioned, they're still middling, right? In that 7th till 8th and 9th. We did see Bubak up in the end game again, so that's then moved them up 2 slots as well. And then from that big victory royale, now Reason, Vidil, Noah Riley up into the top 10. So 5 more games to go. Hopefully they're going to be able to keep that steam going.
Oh man, momentum, baby. We have it. We have more games here waiting for us. A lot of these trios are looking to shut down this top 3 because remember, it's top 3 that will auto-qual going into Chapter 2 Season 7. You know what time it is, Fortnite fam. We're getting right back aboard the battle bus. Make way, because Sancho West and Shywager are coming through. They're your casters for the game once again. Let's kick it back their way.
Game number 2 of day number 2, and I'm not even still over that first one, Sancho. If that's how things are going to go today, I am not ready.
I think that's how it's going to go today. It's going to go down to the last moment. We saw last season, it went down to the final game, the final rotations, the final moments. Our top 3 was still up, and this is the defending champions once again, who are essentially getting 6 points out of this engagement. And if they keep up that pace, they have an opportunity to just barely outpace Indretta's trio, who's been going really conservative. If you take a look at after Indretta's victory royale, that trio basically just kind of averaged out the rest of the way. Low E-limbs, decent placement. And if that continues to happen here in day 2, I think we'll see a back-to-back championship.
I'm liking how you mentioned the fact that they're getting, these elims off spawn for free, basically. They're the only team to have multiple double-digit elims from yesterday, the 10+. So, a big factor of that is these 3 elims off spawn that are getting the chance to get every game and have, as you said, 6-1 so far right now? Like, they're looking real good off spawn. At the moment, it's a little bit more, conservative approaching this fight. We see Knight, Vortex, and Hycris. I think they got the bunker chest. They have a lot of power off this POI, but Chapix, Hen, and Janice have a wide split. They had a lot of access to so many chests. Hycris on the backside now. He's trying to look to go and engage on this trio, but at the same time, they have so many shields to pop and extras to hold on to too. They will win this war, but it's about that first battle as well. If they go down early, if one person gets picked, I think that's the only way Hycris really has a chance here.
Correct, and that has happened, and we've seen clutches between Janice and Chapix able to pick up the pace after Hens getting knocked.
I'm calling it already, though. Just looking at the state of Vortex's shields, it's too late. If elims needed to happen, it needed to happen now. Is Chapix actually going for this? I mean, he's feeling himself. The bow and arrow close range, but not going to be able to hit that type of shot. Hycris and Vortex are just desperate right now over these builds. They're looking for anything. They need one big shot, but even then, look at the minis in Chapix's inventory. He has so many to delay this fight. Mats are the only thing. They have 5. They've made so much investment into making this big bridge, underground base, and goes back into another house. Chapix follows. Vortex has no idea where he is. They're refarming again.
The big thing that Hycris' trio is holding on to is they did have a top 10 finish with about 7 or 8 E-limbs. So they understand that if they're able to walk away, they'll be able to have a big game themselves.
And look at the trick that Janice, Hen, and Chapix have done at this POI. They basically forced Vortex, Knight, and Hycris to go over to this left side. They used to have so much control. Janice staying back a little bit now has a chance for a big flank to actually corner these guys. They had complete control of the POI. Janice is going up, fighting 2 people by himself. It's Knight and Vortex. Chapix has to peek from down below. 5 builds left on Janice as well. He's going to try to run away, farm what he can as he moves inside a building. Yes, that's where you have the most protection. He's going to play sneaky like while he attracts all the attention. This makes room for Chapix and Hen on the other side to go all the way up. This is a back and forth, and it looks like they have the reads on Hycris' trio.
It really doesn't matter what weapons are in the inventory here in this engagement. We've seen a gray makeshift shotgun get the job done. So you see that green makeshift normally in anyone else's hands, you'd be like worried, but look at it. It's going to be fine. They're setting up, Shy. Break this down for us.
Yeah, right now too, it's not only a war of HP and loadouts, it's a war of resources. While Janus, I believe, was on the backside and used all his mats as a solo, when Chris, Vortex, and Knight wanted to respond to him, all three of them had to use their mats to catch up. So they basically, look how many ramps are invested over here from all three players. They're losing this war on resources. Only Janus has basically used his mats right here. Chapix and Hen have been just farming up the whole time. We'll see how that goes. It looks like Cerebrally is going to be Janus's team that's winning right now. At Steamy Stacks, Andretta, Savage, Refsguard, they had their early game fight. Slender got taken out immediately from what I saw over there. It'll be free for those guys to keep moving on. Right now, it just looks like Knight is confused. I'm not sure if he knows exactly where these guys are. Janus was out of builds. Now he's almost up to back to 200-300. It's about these resources. Just keep watching them. They have so many to farm down here. And Knight up top, he can't drop down to farm. As soon as they drop the farm, Janus will hear that. They'll go back up. Their position is so strong right now.
This is a great defensive stance. In the previous engagements, when I looked at the VOD, down in the feed, that's been a battle that's been going back and forth the entire time. Saving having the upper advantage, but momentum is going to be the big factor going forward.
Yeah, and why is this happening? Why is it different from before? You know, the last game we saw Janus and Chapix go for an immediate fight, and it was scrappy. It's because of the psychology around it. Look at the zone on the left. They have zone at Craggy. They can really draw this out, and they've baited Chris all day into this fight. They know they're not going anywhere. They know they've basically are living in their heads rent-free, Janus at least, and they're going to go for this fight no matter what to try to win it. They're down 6-1 as well. Because of this, this is free surge tags for Janus. This fight will happen no matter what. And man, Vortex is getting antsy. They're already shooting shots down below Sancho. It really, right now, it seems like Hen, Chapix, and Janus are inside their heads.
The only time I've seen a disengagement here in the tournament is Hen's trio went to Flopper Island to disengage, to regain a little bit of resources, to regain a little bit HP, and then they came back and wiped out Knight. The thing that's going to be different here is that Tripper's trio that usually rotates into that little clip area hasn't been here just yet. Now they're rolling in. They're rolling in right now, and they're going to send beams, and we saw Chapix get beamed from that area here, and that could be just enough for Chris's trio to find that opening to get rid of Hen's trio.
Now, what Sancho's calling for is basically the third party of a different team on this left hill that comes in, and Uguay 74, that's Chapix, by the way, was on high ground. He was in the position of this opposite team, Vortex, the night before. He got beamed hard. I think these guys have learned from that. They're now playing low. There's no chance that third party team can actually shoot them. So they're actually sitting pretty, waiting for Knight to make a move, and they can't. Meanwhile, on other sides of the map, Lazy Lake, always active, especially with Bad Sniper Marvin and SC. They've actually moved towards the center of the map off the POI, chasing a fight. Bad Sniper with the big shots on the Dementos. They're still going forward. This one's getting real scrappy too. I mean, Sancho, no one's holding anything back on day two.
Not at all. And Marvin's trio had their best finish in game one of this day here, which is 7 out of the 12. But this is just a messy rotation. This southern rotation, I call it the struggle rotation, man. The struggle of the South right here that's happened real. Every time we've already seen it in game 7. Now in game 8, you're seeing all the kind of chaos that's happening. Jamside hasn't had a great tournament run because of this. And you already seen Pizza, who's just able to be a little bit better because he's able to rotate. But now Pizza is actually late rotating here. As you see, Fast Rookie Art and Pizza on the backside of this engagement down on Gorgeous Gorge.
I've never seen people voluntarily go down to the gorge, let alone 3 teams to fight. So there's definitely something weird going on for their game strategies.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you know, what ends up happening in the EU is they stopped saying, you know what, I'm done doing long-range Storm Surge tags. I want a box fight. It happened last season. They get up in people's faces. The more confidence is happening, it's like, we could beat these guys. I could hear Levin saying it in my voice. We could beat these guys, and we could take it to them. And that's what I think what it is. More importantly, I said it in the previous game, Shayo, it comes down to elimination points being 2 points. You get that value out of that. We've already been seeing the 6 points that's been helping out Hen's trio kind of bolt them up a little bit. They took over first place against Refsguard's trio. Wow, this is a stalemate. It's
that gorge is looking anything but gorgeous right now with all those teams in there and all the builds. While that happens,
gorge.
4CR, Nate, and Tayson, they've almost even taken height over Percival. Actually, a misstep. Percival goes down, Tayson misses a ramp, and now he has high ground. That was too easy. And now he's on the chase down. Percival shaking in his boots, getting absolutely beast controlled. This is about to drop him in the box too. He's missing edits. What's going on here? all the way around. He has an infantry rifle that's not good close range. Has to switch over to the pump and land a big shot, but it's only green. He's gonna escape all the way and make sure he finds his way back to his team. Bloom took big shots. Percival actually down. You're trying to go toe-to-toe with Tayson, Nate, and 4ZR. I get it. Bloom, Percival, Tomzy, they're also really good at these fights, but this is outclassed matchup right now. These guys are just working this trio, and it's good to go for these mid-game fights, especially when you're behind, and try to shake things up. It's also just so risky. On the same box right now, on the walls, they're just shooting pumps at it, not even swinging their pickaxes, and they get in basically unscathed. Tayson will be able to met up. Everything will look fine. What a fight. Masterclass of a mid-game fight there from 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate.
It looks like Bloomy's luck has run out of that trio. They've been avoiding that engagement down on the West Coast. They were always worried that they'd be taken out. That's what happens with the Sweaty Sands teams. But it looks like Tayson's trio is taking that engagement a little bit further. We've been seeing Bloomy and Tayson's trio all tournament long been competing for Central Zone and colliding. And right now, Tayson coming up top, who is trying to get a third FNCS championship. Now let's focus in here on Noah Riley. Reasons trio won game 1 of day 2 as well as last season. So we're seeing that they're creatures of habits. And now the changes, you're seeing the changes. They're actually boxed up looking for Storm Surge tags at distance. They're not moving. They're not in the car. They're not hunting. They decided to become more of a, I guess one of those like little spiders that chill in those underground traps, right? They're just waiting for people to walk on by to get some tags.
They're trying to switch things up completely. Meanwhile, Shadow is basically seeing the light absolutely erased almost. Stompy right now going to get beamed out of the air this time. He's looking good with peppers, but not finding a way to really help out his team. There's fire low ground too. Not really landing any shots on anyone through builds either. The big Elam comes in, the siphon finish, and now he's looking for more. Gonna pick up Shadow all the way up top, get that clutch revive. Very nice. This is also just a very, very messy fight.
Very messy. The fire actually knocked their teammate. That's what happens when everything gets set ablaze. Wakey's going to go ahead and bring back iDrop into the fight here. This is actually another big fight because look at the inventory that Joe, Stompy, and Shadow have. Joe has so much shield, but at the same time, Stompy's trio has 4 peppers. And you know that's going to be a great win condition for Joe, Stompy, and Shadow. That is part of their game plan. They got a victory royale by playing for height when the zone went down towards Holly Hedges Meadows, and they're below Storm Surge, and that's why they're taking this fight. But they open up that door and get greeted by some shots.
Dangerous for Joe. This man is a walking llama right now. If he gets taken out, golden tactical shotgun. You're talking about the bigs. He has so many. He has 3 still after using one. Like, you do not want to go down if you're Joe here.
You know this has to kill the deal, right? The feeling like they want to get down into that. They're so anxious. They're so HP thirsty. They want to get down there. Yeah, they want to get into that fight, but they're trying to slow down their ways. They're trying to slow down that temptation to get in there.
Stuff on both ends. People are definitely learning from yesterday. Every time a team went third party into a fight, didn't really come out with much and sometimes lost a teammate. So they're letting everyone just isolate and do their own thing. Like us, they're watching along and having a good time. Hope you guys are too. Endon is here now with Jaku as well. Crazy, crazy solo performances from Endon all across the season, and now he's looking to get into this fight close and personal as well. Some teams are still on that classic game plan of invade boxes, look for these aggressive tags, and most of them are also lower on the leaderboard. You were talking about it, Sancho. Elims are a dope way to make up, some of the mistakes from yesterday, but at the same time, going for Elims, even in this spot, is so risky.
Now we're taking a look at the rest of the board here as a Squeeze is being pressured by Kirachi here, and Stacey, they're nowhere to be found. They've been not having this tournament run that we've all expected them this entire season. Has been just a more like a hide, or was it a Jekyll, situation for them. They're just not the same French trio that we saw last season, the previous season before that. And two's Kirachi, they have an opportunity to close out that chapter here and lobby that trio. I'm just flabbergasted, sir. Flabbergasted.
Red Rush Exteriors Mappy coming through the first game, not that consistent, just 2 points in total on the day. They got to look to actually just, make things up. When these center zones, I feel like that's where they struggle the most. It's so hard to stay invisible, be passive, go for beams. They're fighting Flois on the same box right now, but not going to really find much. He's going to build all the way up towards Kaiser. Down a teammate. Meanwhile, now this entire server is just devolving into box fights left and right. Even your former first place trio is fighting your current first place trio. Hengen is Tapix, and 2 of them are down. These guys are leading the leaderboard over the cumulative 2 days. and their chances of getting points this game are running out. Flames ablaze around Chapix, and he's taking ticks over and over, down to 16 HP. There's nowhere for him to hide. Shots on all sides. Every single bullet you see go by is trouble for him. His builds are still burning. Chapix, be careful. Flick's on the other side, low HP too. He's walking through flames, not even affected. What is this?
Through the fire, and I don't think he's going to have a 9th place finish. No way. Not this game, considering that you have Indretta here that's trying to take that 1st place spot. You have Lanoof as well. This is the team that kind of lands at risky reels. And look at that.
No.
Storm starts going down, and Thomas HD gets taken out. And Nas is left by himself. And Indretta is now pushing Slicks. And Lanoof is just trying to back up his teammate here. And Anas is in a big shamble situation here. Storm Surge still ticking through. And Savage is going to look to clean that up.
Yes,
takes it up and cleans it up. Now he's going to push forward towards Chapix, and maybe Storm Surge is turned off. Maybe Chapix could breathe just a moment. Yes, he could breathe for a moment.
Yeah. Nas, Thomas, and Flick, they were the last team that had basically, no surge tags whatsoever, no damage dealt on the map. That lightning was just striking them over and over. It took down Flick first. Thomas went away second, and Nas could still not find any damage and goes down as the last player for the threshold. The Loof 6 and Marine is not going to be here, looking to also go across. And Dreda is just shooting them with stink bows. No, that's actually another trio from the left side. Lanoof's having so much trouble moving in. Savage tries to relieve a little bit of pressure off from him because they're getting shot too. This is so tricky, and Zone is still moving.
Savage's weapon of choice in this tournament has been the stink bow. When I VOD reviewed, they would get into a little bit of the storm surge. They would get like a couple spaces in and turn and just rain down stink bows. He was basically crop dusting the entire lobby, man. It was just stinky. He was getting a lot of 5 HP tags all over the place.
It's quiet now across the map too. Everyone's kind of stopped. That surge gets everyone really, really active, pushed into boxes. Now they're looking for position to play out the rest of the game. Savage basing up with Indretta and Refsguard low ground. I'm not sure what happened last game, but Refs and Savage were basically taken out. Indretta had to clutch. Tapix is still alive somewhere, it seems as. Hasn't gone down, might even have the reboot cards. So it's gonna be tough to revive everyone right here. The zone pulls left again, so Savage, Refsguard, and Indretta, it's just a pit stop on this road trip. They're not done yet.
What is done is Chapix taking out by the storm. So now first place is out. That's going to be an opportunity for Resguard and Dreda and Savage to move up. Also third place, Flick, Anas, and Thomas HC we saw in the previous engagement taken out. Let's take a peek at Zone 4. It's going to be a battle at Risky Reels. And we've already seen some fireworks. We've already seen blockbuster hits already in this tournament run. I'm expecting another summer blockbuster hit here for Game 8.
Game 2 on day 2. This is very similar to what happened yesterday. Game 2 actually went to the Orchard, and it was this trio that ended up winning the game from low ground. They popped off. Queasy was on height, so maybe Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky might have some experience being high ground this game. But Indretta, Refsguard, Savage, this might not be where they drop. In terms of end game, this is their home. They know exactly how to navigate the zone. They're used to the roads, used to the rivers. They take everything to their advantage and make the space. There's a game to win. It has to be theirs. On height, though, it's not Trulix this time just yet. Nate, Tayson, and 4ZR are looking to have some control of the game.
4ZR, Nate, and Tayson, 3 eliminations right now. They're another team that they can move up their leaderboard as well. In 4th place, one of those teams we've talked about, conservative play. Just get into the end game, just trying to get positioning, not taking too aggressive box fights. We all know that Tayson and 4ZR and Nate, they're on the road to redemption. Tayson decided to switch out his teammates. He wanted a more serious trio mates in this back, someone who's going to grind with them. We're seeing the fruits of their labor right now, getting them within striking distance of a championship. Nate, 4ZR last season, of course, on the road for redemption, didn't really make it into the grand finals. We know that their finals is all about that. We thought they would be there. They weren't there. So this is going to be an opportunity, a chance to kind of turn their fate and let everybody know that they still got it.
Definitely the most improved trio of the entire season. They're still looking for shots. They're not exactly in zone all the way just yet, at least not that half of the base. Gonna be praying and hoping that it pulls their way, but we'll have chances to move no matter what happens. Wakey down below, there's trouble inside a little bit of those lower tier boxes, lower ground bases. People are going down left and right. Exterio's taken out. Alpha having trouble, and then taken out by Noah Riley as well. These guys are popping, but there's so many angles they have to cover.
I'm surprised. Stacey brought back his teammates. Stacey brought back that team. And wasn't he all by himself? Like, weren't they just being pressured by Kirachi?
Yeah, Excuse was a solo. I guess they brought everyone back. Yeah, okay.
Run. Okay, they're not.
Big reboot came through, but no matter, they were coming from the south side. They must be exactly where Noah Riley is too. Look at the zone. This is a huge rotation, and builds are burning at the same time. You cannot cross that ground. Noah Riley will have to go around. And Alex Stacey, yeah, I guess the reboot came through in the Spire or Boney Burst.
Yes,
they'll actually end up playing out the full game. That's clutch from X Squeeze. Meanwhile, near the river, this is where patience is tested. Safik and Siberia haven't moved just yet, and they have the longest and toughest rotation with a team beside them.
They've been coming from Coral Castle, and for them to actually finish day one in around 15th place is already a feat in itself. They solved the puzzle of Coral Castle. For the longest time in the FNCS, no trio has really found success. They found some success. Just to paint a picture, last season, Kenzel, alongside with Waking Deceptos, finished in 30th place coming out of here. If Safik and Siberia could finish as a duo, that would be a great run, but look already what's happening. Noah, Riley, and Reason and the Deal have become a hype team. They stopped buzzsawing the lobby, and now they're flying high in the sky.
You're telling me Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason,
I would never heard
over 8 hours after sleeping, learned patience? That's insane.
That's a
they really want to win. They want to come back. Remember, Sancho, first and then down to 16th after 6 games. They're trying to climb their way back up. They're 10th place right now on the cumulative leaderboard. They're looking to rise higher and higher. Here is who is in their way: Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky. They're uncomfortable right now. They're itchy. They're not used to being second height. They like being the highest in the lobby, and it looks like they have a little bit of advantage on zone. Just like yesterday in game 2, this team took control of height. They tried to pop off. They could not clinch the game. This time, they'll try to do it once again, but they have an entire Titan to take down. It's not free for them. They have to get through Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason.
How is Reason's trio going to be able to handle this? Trulix does have a pepper here. Are they going to go ahead there, look for the chop? We've seen Trulix's trio get chopped before in a phenomenal way by Vidil's trio themselves. In game 1, they chopped them out, and they were able to take height and the Victory Royale. So they're clashing again. Just look at this run, child.
Oh, Reason! I think he got hit by a bow from Trulex. They're screwing from the backside. There's so many teams moving over. This is huge for Trulex if he goes up. Yep, 173 damage above him. Must have been a big shot, but there's